it's going super slow. None of my PC stats say that anything's overwhelmed, but it's being weird. So if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, we're working on it. It figures. When trying to go live is when things go weird. I practiced this last night. But Taylor, can you pull up Facebook and see what's showing up right now? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and keep talking while we are waiting for that to get fixed. We are talking campaign strategies and canvassing, or boots on the ground, as we've been calling it in the past. We've got to get our name in front of as many people as possible before November 8th. But the big thing right now is getting people registered to vote. The 24th is the last day, so we need to make sure people are doing that. You can do that via a printed off registration sheet. It's available Secretary of State's website. You can also do it in person on Monday if you want to go to one of the offices. That would be up to you if you want to show up there at an office. But make sure you are registered.
On Facebook, it shows the background and I can hear you talking.
Yeah. My button clicks are taking way too long to get there. There we go. All right, we should be caught up. All right. Facebook, put in the comments if we're still not showing up correctly. Dub TikTok videos, some of them go to Facebook, not all of them. Typically, it's just the ones that aren't direct replies to people, because those aren't always relevant. But most of them end up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I try to post most of them myself. But all right, so strategy, we're shifting gears as much as possible. We're still going to be doing live streams on digital media and everything else. All that's still going to happen, but we are trying to get in front of people as much as possible. Leanne, I'm hoping that comment is delayed because it shows that we're showing up now. Comment again and say that you heard me say to comment again, so that I know that I'm actually showing up, because I don't know how much a delay there is on my end to your end. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 2 minutes. So, all right. We are trying to get in front of as many people as possible. We're in the last couple of weeks. We have, I think, 18 days left. It might be 17. I didn't check before we went live, but we're really, really close. November 8th is election day. If anybody isn't familiar, the 24th, perfect. Leanne, thank you. The 24th of October, so Monday, is the day to get registered. That's the last day to get registered to vote. You can register to vote before you turn 18, as long as you're going to turn 18 before the election. So please do that, or tell someone you know who isn't registered, who isn't turning 18 until between the 24th and the 8th. They can still get registered. Go to alabamavotes.gov to get more information. And if you want to help us get other people registered, if you know there's a group of people or a likely group of people in your area who can't get registered, sign up for the canvassing help in the link in my bio, whichever platform you're watching this on, and we'll get you the resources you need. We actually had one of our other team members point something out to us last night, and we're kind of excited about that. Didn't realize that we could do it as a campaign. But we can print off and get people registered. You will have to turn them in on Monday. So we'll need your help this weekend, and then you'll need some free time before like 4 o'clock on Monday to go turn them in, just to make sure everything gets turned in on time. But we would love your help there if you can. The next thing I want to make sure we dive into, and this one's kind of the end game, right? We're looking at November 8th, and we need to get as many people to polling stations as we can for the campaign. So we're not talking about poll working. We're not talking about poll watching, but we're talking about canvassing or campaigning at the polling station. And we can do that legally within 30 feet of the front door. So as long as we are more than 30 feet from the door of the polling station, we can be out there with banners, signs, pens, stickers, anything else. I just need people to dedicate some time. It doesn't have to be the full day. If you can do the full day, that'd be rad. It's also a Tuesday, so I know that during the middle of the day, there's likely not to be a ton of voters, but if you can show up and be there all day, that would be great. If not, earlier in the morning before people go to work, and late in the afternoon / evening before they close at 7, because I believe polling stations are open 7 to 7. I'd love for you to sit out there and help out. I need you to stay hydrated, so make sure you're bringing water. If you have a table, bring a table. If you have some type of shade, bring that. I know I'll be bringing a canopy and a table to my polling location to be hanging out there for as long as possible, making sure that people understand that I'm still an option. I'm here as a write-in, but still an option. So looks like Taylor dropped out, but that's all right. Yep, and back. Cool.
I was just moving them all.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so that's the big thing. Still, if you want to go to events and things between now and November 8th, if you want to show up at events in your area, please do. Make sure people know that I'm running. If you need help printing flyers, we can help with that. We've got campaign funds that we can spend to help you print out some flyers or postcard size items if you want to print those off, so it's not a giant 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Happy to do that as well. And we should still have some stickers depending on what town you're in. Huntsville, Birmingham, and the Mobile, Baldwin County area, we should have some stickers that we can pass out. And then we're putting those up around the cities. They've got a giant QR code. I've had some people scan those so far. Wasn't a ton. I was hoping to be a little bit more, but it was worth a shot. It's one technique, one option, one strategy that we tried. Carrie said, get people to trick or treat for you. Kids say trick or treat and hand them a flyer. Oh, I really like that idea, Carrie. Or Kara, sorry. I like that idea. I think I'll be making a video later.
Say, no tricks with Jared, or something,
right?
Something to that effect.
Yeah. We got to figure out what the trick is and what the treat is, right? Although, does anybody actually reply with either? It's usually I know that that's the thing, but people just give candy. But yeah, I like that. I don't know if we do full size flyers or if we do the postcard pieces.
I think the postcard pieces, but I saw something where somebody did a trick and people got so mad. I think they wrapped up ketchup packets or mild sauce packets and gave it out, and people got so pissed. And a lot of people were like, "It's trick or treat."
Yeah. You asked. So. You didn't say give me treat. You said trick or treat. You weren't expecting the trick.
They said people don't yell at kids.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, that's a good point. Not usually. Ooh, I should say not usually. We'll make sure the flyer is something that won't have people yelling at everybody. The default design says pro-abortion, so that might get somebody to yell at a kid. Hopefully not, but you never know. Might not react well. We can do the one that says, better healthcare access, I think is what the alternative flyer says. So we can use that. I like that idea. I've got to get people. We got to get people who are willing to pass those out. Kara, can you sign up sign up for the canvassing option? So it's in the link in bio. If you're willing to help do that, that'd be cool. Although you said Iowa, are you in Iowa still, or is that something you did previously in Iowa? Because I don't need you handing out flyers in Iowa. That doesn't help. Dub, yeah. So two of the three parties have a lot of funding, or at least seem to. Dub said I'm going to be honest. Without the funding of other parties have, this will be incredibly difficult. 100%. Agreed. It has been very difficult without the funding that at least I know one party has. Kara, you're in Huntsville. Okay, cool. Yeah. We actually have several people up in Huntsville, so let's make sure that happens. Sign up for canvassing. So it's a separate group than just the general volunteers. Although I need to get everybody into that chat so we can all be on the same page, especially with canvassing efforts, because everybody needs to be going and talking to their communities as much as possible. So if you want to help, that'd be great. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. I've got an event to go to. OJ French was his life was taken by the police in Bay Minette back in August, and they still don't have answers. There's a community what would we call it, activist group at this point. They're Bay Minette Justice League. They've been trying to get answers from the city and from the sheriff's department, anybody to get answers as to how a brake light stop turned into someone losing their life. So I'll be going there. I think it starts at 11, lasts till about 3. So I want to wrap up here kind of early, get prepped for that, and get over to that. But do you have any other questions or anything you want to bring up, Taylor?
I was gonna say you could do the challenge of, like, you know, what I've said before. Everybody that sees the video tells 10 people, and challenges each one of them to tell 10 people. You know, just the whole prayer chain.
Yeah, it's exponential.
The letter chain letter.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the math was kind of nutty. It only takes like 14 days to reach more than 1.4 million people if everybody every day talks to 1.3 people. Sorry, if you convince 1.3 people a day to vote for someone, whatever. If you communicate to 1.3 people each day, and everybody does that every day, so it's exponential. You can reach over 1 million people in like 12 or 13 days. The math is kind of nutty if you do it, but we're not starting from zero today, so that doesn't even have to be one a day. We just need you to continually talk to people. It's possible. It does take work. It takes effort. It takes talking to people. Dub, you said, I know what one of the problems are. Is that related to campaigning? Be curious what you mean. And actually, if we can stream for 30 minutes total, that would help me maintain desktop access. So we'll probably hang out and just chat for that amount of time. Yeah, Dub, no, it's a huge point. So somebody on TikTok said, my generation doesn't want to vote anymore. They feel like voting doesn't work. In some places, I 100% agree, and I've said it a ton this year, is in some races, I 100% agree. The presidential election, I know that what I vote for does not matter, because it literally is, it doesn't. The popular vote doesn't matter. But there are races that it does matter. When you go hyper local, things like a coroner or a sheriff, anything that's super, super local, where it's not based on districts or the electoral college in the presidential case, those votes do matter, and they can make change depending on who you're voting for, right? So at the statewide level, we're talking about the executive branch. So they, if the governor can't do a ton, they can help execute laws, right? They can help try to make the laws that are in place as fair as possible and try to guide those. But they can't undo them unless they're completely unjust, and then you could try to do an executive order to undo things. Depending on your state, some states, they can completely override that with legislative power, and our state is one of those. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of power in the legislative branch, and they can kind of just undo things. So sadly, not a ballerina. If you have a vote, use it. At the very least, keep fascists out of office. That'd be great if we could not have a complete fascist takeover of our state and country. That would be fantastic. Dub, you want to ask me something crazy? Go for it. We're live. Why not?
I'm definitely, my interest is peaked.
Your interest is peaked, yeah. Last night I was up till about 1 looking up. Did I miss something? Because I don't see his comment.
Oh, he said, or they said, say at some point you do win office and you find there's loads of corruption, and what happens?
Uh, so it's when I find out there's loads of corruption and have proof of it, because it's there. There's no reason
Right.
for a lot of the things that are wrong with our state and country. There's no way that that doesn't involve corruption. Um, what happens? It depends on where the corruption is. It's really tough to know that the Supreme Court in our state and federally are leaning a specific direction. Um, outside of making it, outside of just making it public, that's one of the reasons I want to do a statewide financial audit, is to bring up and make it public on where money is coming in and where money is going to. And we looked at it slightly last night, and I think it confused Dub a little bit, right? But we were looking at a 2017 report from the Alabama Department of Corrections, because we were looking for uh, death stats. Essentially, we're trying to figure out how many people have passed away inside ADOC. But what ended up finding was the ACI report, Alabama Correctional Industries, and showing their profit and loss statement, and it was nearly $300 million or $300,000. Sorry, no, I think it was million. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning last night. 300 million in profit for ACI, and the thing that we have to keep pointing out is like that money through that comes to ACI only comes from other state agencies. So that's more tax revenue that's being spent in Department of Corrections than is assigned via the budget. And that, while not typically, or not what we typically considered corruption, how we got here is kind of what I would want to point out. It's not like one person is doing that, but it's definitely a way to hide how money flows through the state without having to hide it. Yeah. Dub, it's wild. There any profit, and our prisons have the conditions they have. Well, that's the point of the prison system. It's not to actually do reform or anything. So that's it's intended to bring in money. Uh, has been since 1848. The first prison in Alabama, like we have now, was built in 1844. In 1848, we started making money off of it. It only took us 4 years to say, hey, you know what? We have a lot of people that can't do anything else. Let's use them for money. And sadly, I agree, it should not be for profit. Agreed. Leanne, good question. If you're elected, how are you going to reform prison systems and how they can profit off inmates? Uh, the biggest thing for the reform side is making sure initially we have to actually get the system under control first, because as Dub pointed out, like the conditions are atrocious, and Leanne, I think you know, but we we've got to get under control first, and then we're going to look at ways to remove the profit motive. So we don't pay anyone that works realistically. On paper, they get paid for working at ACI, but I need to remind everybody it's 13 to 25 cents an hour based on the last report we have, which is that 2017-ish time frame. So very recently, they stopped reporting the hourly rate that we pay those who are inside working in ACI, but I guarantee you it's not higher. Why would it be? So we've got to remove profit motive, but it's not just the ACI side. It is the healthcare services that we're using inside. That is a profit-based organization. Our food delivery, when the food comes in, it's a for-profit industry. And then we also have our system that we use for goods. So the things you can buy. Let's say you want to buy your loved one a shoe, or a pair of shoes, not a shoe. You want to get them a pair of shoes. You can't just send them shoes. You have to use a very specific one-option care package provider, and they are the only option. You have to pick from them, and the state has an agreement with them, and they are not inexpensive from what I've seen. You have to sign up and have an AIS number to even look at their catalog. But I've heard they're not cheap. Neither is the commissary inside. So if you want to get a honey bun or something, that they make a ton of money off of that. And then also telephone services. We got to look at all of those pieces and remove as much profit motive as we can within my control or the departments that I have oversight on, like Department of Corrections. So
sadly not a ballerina. Sadly not a ballerina.
Yeah.
Live should not be profit margins, period.
Say that again.
Live should not be profit margins, period.
Oh yeah, people. Yeah. So and I use that hashtag almost every post I make, and it's people over profits. Like, we should not be prioritizing profits over people and their life. Like, it just that does no one any good in the long run. That's where we end up in systems like we have now, where there are a very few people who have the vast majority of wealth in our country, and that's because we put profit over everything else, and we've got to stop doing it. Dennis mentioned wanting to address the issues that cause crime in the first place, which is leading to people to prison. 100% agree. Most of it's poverty, either directly or indirectly. But if you talk about people that end up in prison because of a mental breakdown, like, why did they not get that taken care of ahead of time? That would be healthcare. Why do they not have healthcare? Mostly because they can't afford it. There's a ton of people who are working in our state who can't afford healthcare because they're in this gap between Medicaid and private insurance, and they make too much to get Medicaid, but not enough to pay for actual healthcare. So, like, it's all related to poverty in some level, some more directly than others. A vast majority of the admissions each year, I think 2021, it was like 66%. I'm going off of memory from 6 months ago when I looked all this up originally, but it's about 66% of admissions to ADOC were for poverty-related crimes. So burglary, theft, receiving of stolen property, drug possession or intent to manufacture, and one other one. Theft,
one
robbery.
One of my best friends
go ahead.
has about 3 chronic illnesses, and she's in that gap. She needs. I mean, she has insurance now because her partner was able to get it, but previously she was in that gap, and she needs. There are a couple of surgeries she needs, and she has bipolar disorder, and it's like, she needs to see doctors, but she has to pick and choose what she sees a doctor for because she doesn't have insurance. And she has endometriosis, and having to not treat that because you've got to treat something else.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows anything about endometriosis knows how excruciating it is. And to just have to deal with it because you can't afford to treat, like, it just makes me angry.
Yes. There's, like,
Yes.
we have people who literally their life expires because they can't afford the necessities of life, right? So whether it's food, housing, healthcare, like, all of those are necessary to live, and we have people who don't live because they can't afford it. And man, that's like, I don't see how people are okay with that being the case. Like, there are people who are like, well, I mean, they can't afford it. It's like, okay, well, like, they weren't born wealthy. Like, what do you expect when you're born into poverty? Like, most people, the vast majority, stay in poverty if they're born there. That you do not escape your class. Most people don't.
There was one lady who was like gonna stop her kidney dialysis because she couldn't afford transportation.
Yep.
And I'm like,
people rationing
Jesus.
insulin, not skipping
Yeah.
kidney dialysis, skipping mental health care. Like literally everyone should be seeing a therapist, but most of us can't afford it. Like we should be, because like especially my generation and younger, like we have lived through some very horrendous things back to back to back, and like there's an impact on our mental health that we're not addressing. And like somebody, I can't remember the creator, but they made a video recounting all of the things that they have lived through having been born in 2000. And the craziest part that I didn't deal with because I was out of high school at that point, but they were talking about 9/11. They're like, yeah, I was born in 2000, so you would think 9/11 wasn't a big deal, except when I was in, they said when I was in elementary school, we had to watch live replays of the news in school, in like elementary school. They were watching people jump from buildings in elementary school to teach them about 9/11. It was like, that's broken. Nicholas, do therapists go to therapists? The good ones do. The ones that I've listened to here on social media, they say they do. They said if your therapist isn't going to a therapist, you should find a new therapist, because everybody has stuff they have to deal with. Somebody earlier mentioned taxes. It scrolled through, but I don't want to try to find it again. But yeah, our tax system's weird. It's intentional, but like we tax our groceries. We're one of the few states that still does. I'd love to get rid of that. I can't as governor. I can call a special session. I need everybody to vote people into legislation or the legislature that will want to repeal that. But it's it's law. I can't undo it. Again, I could maybe try an executive order, but I don't think they will. I don't think they'll let me in the current makeup of our legislature. Don't think they'd allow that. So we've gone for more than 30 minutes. That was my goal, just to make sure we kept TikTok desktop access. So if anybody has any other points I want to bring up, do it in the next minute or so. Otherwise, we are going to end the stream, and I'm going to get ready for Unity Day, honoring OJ French and Bay Minette. If you're in the Bay Minette area and you're seeing this in the next hour or so, or actually anytime before 3, come show up. Look on Facebook for the name of the event, but it's in Bay Minette, Alabama, so South Alabama. But if you can, show up. If you're not near Bay Minette, but you're still in the southwest part of Alabama, there's something going on in Mississippi that everyone should look up, and I will end the call on this. Let me look up the actual event details, because I was already planning on going to this thing for OJ, and I told the organizers I would be there. But if you guys haven't heard of Jaheim over in Mississippi, he was, I think, he's 15 or 17-year-old who was who were on TikTok. He was impacted by a small, fast object in the head by the police. So hands up. For all the witnesses are saying there's no way to justify this. Not that there ever is in my head, but if you want to go support them, they're doing something today. I think it starts at the same time. It's in Gulfport from 12. It starts at 12. So it's on 15th Street. I'm just going to say the whole thing. It's a protest at Gulfport Police Department, 2220. So 2220 15th Street, Gulfport, Mississippi. Today from 12 until. They don't give an ending date or ending time. So if you're in the area, go show up. If you know somebody in Mississippi who wants to support a family and a community that lost someone way too early, let them know. Starts at 12. All right. Sadly, good call. Remember self-care. Everybody drink water. As clean as water as you have. Mississippi. Go check out Sean for governor. He's running as an independent write-in also, I believe. Definitely an independent. I don't remember if he's write-in or not. But anyway, I'm now rambling. So we're going to end the call. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and we will catch up soon.
Have fun. Drive safe.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to see how long it takes me to actually end these streams with my computer being slow.